What's going on, guys? This is Damien from The Lookout, and I am here with Symbiote who got third place with Syn Xeno. Yes, Syn Xeno, third place at live PPG Regionals. Incredible. Hi, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm very excited to see this deck. This is one of the decks that I have played a lot. I love this one. I really love this one. So, before we begin, let me just ask you, why did you pick Syn Xeno?
The reason I picked Syn Xeno, every other one of my competitive decks was bad into Gogeta. I played Syn Xeno against Gogeta a few times, got some wins. I'm like, well, at least it can beat Gogeta. Let's give it a try, see what happens.
Nice. Okay, so I'm gonna let you take us through the deck. So let's start with the leader because it's an old deck.
Sure. Yes, his old deck is from set. Oh, I had to look. 14, set 14. Syn Xeno. On the front, it's got a blocker, same as the back. Always a blocker. It's great. On the front side, whenever you play a Shadow Dragon extra card, both you and your opponent mill a card. It's auto on swing. You discard a, I think it's just a black card. Discard a card. You discard a card, draw a card, switch him to active at the end of turn to get his blocker back in line. He will awaken when you're at 4 life, or if you have 7 or more Shadow Dragons in your drop. Once you awaken on the back, on swing, he just draws 1, gets plus 5k. The mill auto is slightly different on the back. Only your opponent mills when you play an extra card instead of on the front where you mill both. That's to basically help your awaken side at the front. And then he has this nice activate main battle, Spirit Boost 1. You can play a Shadow Dragon extra card from your hand for free.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, if you didn't catch that, he doesn't have a life. He doesn't go down on lives. Once you have the requirement, correct. He flips.
I've gotten so used to that because I played a few leaders recently that have done that. But yes, if once you get your 7 and drop, you can usually awaken. I've been waking on 7, 6 life pretty consistently, no problem, because you just run that deck through the discards off your leader and through some other discard effects you have. If we want to start on the actual deck itself, the most important part of the deck right now, Unisons. You need those Unisons for that Spirit Boost skill. Always running 4. The Unison itself, it's pretty basic. +1, draw a card, bottom deck a card. You can also bottom deck up to 3 Shadow Dragon extra cards from your drop. So if you're against an opponent's mill, or if you feel like your deck's getting light, you can throw some cards back in the deck. Never have to worry about decking yourself out, especially since you're discarding a lot early game. It does have a -7 that lets you play 7 Shadow Dragons from your drop. I've never got to the -7. Haven't had to worry about that. It's probably a good in-game thing if your opponent lets you get to 7 markers, but with all your spirit boosting, you just want to get to 5, 6 markers and keep spirit boosting down, spirit boosting back up. To keep those markers up, it has an auto. When your leader activates their blocker skill, you get to mill 1 card from your deck and gain a marker. So early game, when your opponent if wants to swing into your Unison and take it down, it's actually advantageous to you. You can just block, get that marker right back up. Even if they swing another time, they're probably not taking the Unison down early game. Really lets us stick on the board.
So I wanted to ask you for this auto. Mm-hmm. So at least from my experience, my opponents just don't swing into Unison. They're like,
that is correct.
The leader's gonna take damage anyway.
Exactly. That's the nice part. They don't swing into the Unison because of that, because it gains that marker back. Even if they swing into it, 2 or 3 times, they're a lot likely to kill it. So it really keeps Unison alive. It's nice. Even just the threat of it is enough to keep a Unison on board. Starting with the super combos, very straightforward. It's a Shadow Dragon. Note that you want basically every one of your cards to have a Shadow Dragon trait, which we'll explain off the next card. It's very important to have that Shadow Dragon trait. Super combo in archetype for this deck. It's just a Sparking 5, draw 1. It has a limit 1. When you Spirit Boost, you can tuck it under Unison and draw a card instead. A lot of times, your opponents may not try to attack lead. They'll try to keep your life up, keep your hand down, make sure super combo's kind of dead in hand. Luckily, you can Spirit Boost them to keep that, to draw some cards and kind of cycle them out if you're not worried about being aggroed down. Now, the reason those Shadow Dragon keywords are so important, we can start with this Shadow Dragon here. Just about every battle card you can have has this auto. On play or on discard, you get to look at the top card of your deck. If it's a Shadow Dragon, you get to add it to your hand. So anytime you are discarding off your leader skill, discarding off your other Shadow Dragon cards, a lot of them, not all of them will do it on play, but most of them will. It'll just replace itself in hand. So your hand size doesn't necessarily go up during the game. You won't see a 14, 15 card hand like other decks, but you're going to have 7, 8 cards in hand. And every time you play one or discard one, it replaces itself. So your hand just stays consistently the same size throughout the game. It's very nice to not be, not lose cards.
Sorry, that's the premium pack one. outside of your list, I've
Yes.
never seen it played. Like,
Oh,
never.
it's so good. This is honestly my favorite card in the deck. The two reasons. One, some of these like Natron Shinran, it's only that auto where you check the top deck, it's only on discard. This one is on play and discard, so it's a great turn 1, turn 2 play. You just toss it down, it replaces itself. You can combo it off later if you need to. Also, if you just need to do your leader swing, you can discard it, draw back. It's fine. It's great. I love it. The second reason it's great, it also has the same activate main battle as your leader on the backside. So it gives you 2 chances to do the Spirit Boost to play a Shadow Dragon extra. Or what I like to do if you're playing at turn 1 or 2, you don't have that Spirit Boost in the front. Spirit Boost is online like, right away. You can play those 2 cost extras, get some extra mill, just keep your energy up for negates, place it with the 1 cost. Real nice. The other 1-drop I run was the Natron Shinran. He's mostly just to have something you can throw down. You don't play him very often. He's mostly for the discard of your leader or discarding F. Oceanus to replace himself. He does have a nice auto for in-game. If you used up a lot of your extra cards, or especially the extra card that searches out your SCR, you can play him for 1 and pull an extra out of your drop back into your hand to find those cards again if you need a key card on your next turn to win the game. The 3 drops running next, Nuova Shenron. You never play him. He's just to be tossed out of your hand, either off your leader swing, off your other battle cards, or he has an activate main. You can send him to warp, burst 1, search top 5 for a Shadow Dragon battle card that costs 5 or less. He searches out your Oceanus, and mostly he searches out Oceanus. That's what he's used for.
Yeah,
when he throws it in his second hand.
My experience every single time I do this one, it's like, oh, okay, Oceanus. Like, that's it.
100% Oceanus, or, super combo. The second worst case is super combo. Searchable super combos are always great. So those are like the main kind of discard targets. Late game, sometimes your opponents will let themselves go down to 2 or 3 life, feeling pretty safe. So there's a couple little sneaky aggro pieces you can put in here. There's a 3-drop you can pay for 1 off whenever you activate your Spirit Boost. He's a 20k double striker. He'll also replace himself, and he will mill a card off your opponent's deck when you play him. So he's also a little cheeky pay 1, mill 1, just in case you need a little extra mill there. But he's a 20k threat. Then you've got 30k you can play for 1 by basically Xeno evolving off any of your 5 or less Shadow Dragon battle cards. He will warp a card off your opponent's side of the board, so he's a little bit of a spot removal for 1. But you got a 20k, a 30k, and for 2, a 30k triple strike. And that's your kind of little late game aggro package if you need it. And if not, you just start discarding things off your leader, discarding these off your Oceanus, discarding them off their stuff. They replace themselves. You keep going. Speaking of the card I say all the time, Oceanus. This is how you stay alive. 4 Oceanus, you need those so bad. And the great part about Oceanus is that in other decks, you're usually going to go -2 because you're playing the card, then you're discarding off it. In this deck, you play it, you get to replace itself off this deck from the Shadow Dragon trait extra thing. The card you discard, you're going to want to discard one of your battle cards. It'll also replace itself too. So your hand stays neutral. You get the floodgate effect, and you get a blocker on board. So if they decide to swing again, they're milling 4 every time. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, just the discard too. Like, okay, yeah, sure. No, just replace 2. Let's go.
Yeah. Just replace them back into your hand. It's so good. Your other negate you run is just the Rage Shinran. He is reduced by 2 on your opponent's turn, so he's just a 1 cost negate. He also replaces himself on play, and he is a blocker. However, he does play in rest mode when you activate him. Surprisingly, yesterday, or Friday, whatever it was, Saturday, who knows? Whenever I played him a lot, he did stick around to block next turn.
Oh, wow.
Usually you can play 2 on a turn. You may have some of your other 1-drops. They're a little like, especially if you have your 1-drop promo out, they're going to want to remove that. Maybe leave the blocker up. You get an Oceanus and this guy down. They can remove 1. You still have a blocker again next turn. So he was surprisingly useful to block. I assumed it would just be a negate. So that's the battle card suite. And then we can get into the extras, the things that actually let you mill off your leader. Starting with Negative Energy Explosion. All these extra cards will both be Activate Main and Activate Battle for their effects, which is nice. You can play them on your turn as part of your Activate Main Spirit Boost, and when your opponent's looking into you, you can mill a few extra cards off them. Good to finish them off. If they're at 1 or 2, you can just Activate Battle a couple of these, and they don't even really, if they swing at you, they lose. It's great. This one searches top 7. It'll either find a Shadow Dragon extra card, or it'll let you play your Unison. So turn 1, turn 2, you're going to want to see either Unison or one of these. You can search that Unison out, play them on board. The Unison is very important for this deck. Your other searcher, Ultimate Whirlwind Spin, that's 1 cost. It's activate main battle, searches top 5 for a battle card. So that'll let you search Unison again, search a super combo, grab some 1-drops that you and just replaces itself, mills a card after your opponent. Other thing to note, all these extra cards, they have a permanent that gives them the Shadow Dragon trait, and that's where that Shadow Dragon is important, where every one of your cards that checks the top of your deck finds a Shadow Dragon. All the extras qualify for that effect.
Yeah, so just keep replacing everything in this deck.
Yeah, that's what's it. My hand, it was weird. I would say cards in hand, I'd be like 8, and then 2 turns later, the cards in hand 8. It's just there. I just have 8 cards in hand. Never goes up, never goes down. It was great. You do have a Floodgate extra, which is nice. This mills 1 off your opponent on play. Also, again, activate main battle. If you discard 2 cards, your opponent can only swing 1 more time with battle cards. So it's like a Nimbus effect at the activate battle speed. When you discard 2 cards, you're discarding 2 battle cards or clutching those right back. So it's all you're only going basically -1 in hand off playing it, and it is milling 2 cards total, 1 from play and 1 from leader effect. Your other saving grace card there, the Ultimate Flame Shot. It's sort of like the Brainwash Sand. You can crit a life and not take damage for the battle. So if they're throwing in a big triple strike, big double strike, sometimes a big quad strike, I definitely had the Overrealm Goku Light in the Dark Scott swung at me quad strike, and I just took 1. It was fine. Very safe with that. Otherwise, that's scary.
I was just about to ask, like, I know this card, but that's like that's not the one that I used to see back in the day a lot. So a lot of people forget that this even exists. So
exactly, yeah.
You caught a lot of players off guard with this one.
Exactly. If you run into a Vegito, even just heck a Gogeta with the big double strikers, you can just let them. Sometimes I'll have them combo 2 or 3 cards into it off a big double strike, and I'll just I'll take 1. It's fine.
I see like Gogeta dumping everything, it's like Z extra every 15k.
Sure, gosh, so big.
There you go.
For removal wise, as far as extra cards, you've got Ultimate Dragon Quake. It's a 1 cost. It will temporarily warp a battle card, much like the Supreme Kai Negate. But as a bonus, if your opponent has 15 cards left in their deck, instead of being replayed with the skills negated, it just goes directly to drop. So usually save this for once they're low on deck, they're swinging in a big, some kind of big threat that doesn't have barrier. You can let them combo up. You can just warp this off. It's done. Battle over. The second negate you have there, or second removal, Ultimate Dark Dragon Slaying Bullet. It's mostly used for its activate main battle. Your opponent chooses one of their battle cards with an energy cost less than the number of cards they drop area and sends it to warp. I've had good use of this when they have a kind of maybe a small barrier threat and a bigger, more dangerous threat to swing at me without barrier. You can play this even though they can't pick the barrier card. You get rid of the card you want. Additionally, it does have a counterplay effect when they play a Unison. They can remove a marker for every 2 cards in their drop or warp, or they place it in their drop instead of playing it. And if they don't do that, they can only attack 1 more time for the turn. So it's kind of a quasi-floodgate, quasi-Unison kind of hate card. I don't think I ever played it for that, but if someone's running a Unison heavy deck, it might help a little bit. Again, it's mostly for the removal. Your nice piece here, this card is great because it just does everything. In fact, it's really good if you play it twice. Sadly, you can't. It does have a limit 1. That is the mistake I made on stream. I played this deck probably about 4 times before I went to the event. So I wasn't as familiar as I could have been. And I'm just seeing here, like all these, basically all of these ones have limit 1 as the activate main battle. And that's something that I'm going to note. You should know in the future. All your different individual extra cards are limit 1. Note to self. It has two great effects. First one, the activate main battle, get 15k. Awesome. The second one, which is really nice, it is a counterattack, which you can play for free if you have a Unison on board, which you should. You choose one of your opponent's battle cards with 15k power or less, ignoring barrier, and send it to warp. It doesn't negate the attack, but it's a great way to just snipe off a small barrier piece that's 15k or less, especially Cumber with their foods and stuff. You just pop it when they swing anything, and they lose out on the value there. And then the final piece of the deck, possibly the most important parts. You've got your 4 negative energy charge and your SCR. The best thing about negative energy charge, 1, it's a Shadow Dragon, extra card. You can play it off your Spirit Boost. It's great. It mills a card. It is 1 cost counterattack. You can use it in hand early if you need it, and then pull it back out with your, I think, the Natrons Shinron to end the game. Once you have 5 energy, or in this case, 4 if you want to play it early, usually played at 5, pay 1 for it, activate Mad Battle, pay 4, play your SCR straight from your deck. So you have 5 chances to find the SCR, and if you play it early just as a negate, or you mill it early, you can pop it right back with your Natrons. So 9-ish chances to find the SCR. And the reason the SCR is so great is it just warps 7 cards right at the top of their deck. This is your game ender. Once you get them, I think I've done it from 12 off their deck before. You play negative energy, pay an extra 4. That's 1 mill off negative energy, 7 more off your SCR. They're down to 4-ish cards. You play another extra card, 3 cards. You let them go. They draw a card, 2 cards. They swing at you. Play another 2 more activate battles. They're done. Or even one of these ones. Actually, usually I do it with the Flame Shatter, the Ice, Ultimate Ice. That mills 2. You just play one of those in their turn. So you can literally take them from 12 plus cards incredibly easily down to 0. That's your game ender right there. The other great part about the Shadow Dragon, you can hide it at the bottom of your deck with your Unison, so you can play it off negative charge. If you're worried about green, worried about hand control, you draw it early, +1, tuck it back under. You know it's at the bottom of the deck, so you won't mill it off the top. And you're pretty safe. The only time it doesn't work is, if you're on turn 1, maybe you play Nuova, maybe it's the first card in your deck and it just goes right onto your discard pile. Less ideal. But assuming you don't do that, that's how you, that's the main deck there. We can quickly go over the Z deck and side deck. Not much to it.
Sure.
You run as many boos as you can. That's the only card you're going to play out of your Z deck. You don't generate much Z energy with this because you're not usually comboing too much. Usually using some of these extra cards just to not take damage. Some of the gates, he's just your spot removal. 2 Z energy, 1 energy, pull him out. I also use him to swing into opponents' battle cards if they have like a 20k on board. I'll play him out, remove 1, swing the 25 into the 20. They have to lose cards from hand, saves little value. Along those same lines, a couple Gokus, more removal. Mostly for removal. You can use them as your in-game threat. Again, if their health gets pretty low, you can very cheaply pay 1 for your 20k double, pay 2 for your 30k triple, pay another 1 for a 25k double. That's some pretty beefy in-game threat if their hand's kind of low. And then the last couple of cards I have, they're black, they're cheap. It's a crit.
Yeah.
Make them lose a card.
Yeah.
And it does have the extra there, or it has to activate main for every 7 battle cards you warp. It gets 5k power, so it's pretty easy to get this guy's a 20k swing for 2, 20k crit, and that just kind of makes them think about doing stuff, thinking about moving cards fan, maybe spending some energy on the gate, just doing something. But again, you're mostly playing boo. Get 4 boo, and then whatever else you feel like. Side deck, completely pointless. In this deck, you want every single one of your cards to have the Shadow Dragon trait. Anytime you side it, anything that's not a Shadow Dragon, your hand will get smaller. It's sad. I just picked a bunch of the kind of black staples to see if I ever wanted to side them in. Every game, I looked at my side deck, and I just shook my head and put it away because it wasn't needed. Black Smoke, Petrification, Hunt the Demon God, Koizukai, all great for other decks. Probably not anything you're going to side in this deck because it's just not required. The things you might consider siding are actually just more of the core package in different ratios. Against like heavy aggro, you can toss a couple Ultimate Flame Shots in, throw another Hard Negate in there, maybe another removal card if you're feeling like you need some extra removal. If they're running a Unison, Ultimate Dragon Tackle is a little extra Unison 8. It's similar to the Ultimate Dragon Slaying Bullet that is kind of a soft Unison 8. They get choices. It kind of soft floodgates them if they decide not to move Unison, but it's something that'll slow them down, which is important if you're running into a lot of aggro. Finally, these 2 cards. I had them in main deck before. It turns out I hate them. They sound great. It is a deflect double strike barrier blocker that replaces itself out of hand. It also has the same activate main battle as your leader to spirit boost and play an extra card. Amazing. But it costs 4. My experience, I found I pay 4 for it. I'm like, cool, I got a blocker threat on board, no problem. And then my opponent just says, I remove it. And I go, oh, I don't have energy out of the gate. And that's game. So
yeah, that was a good one, like long ago. I saw a couple of them in like some old hedge deck or something.
Oh,
but now with green, which is just kind of barrier removal, it's like, dude, like, no, don't do that. Like, it's 4. when you play it, you probably tap out because you're like, okay, I can just spirit boost, and he's like, no, man.
Yeah, you feel like you have that guy plus your leader, maybe other one drop. You got 3 spirit boosts available, pretty good. But no, they just remove that. They may remove your other one. You'll have 1 spirit boost to try to save yourself, and it's never enough. So I would say don't even worry about that guy. But he was technically in my side deck.
Awesome. So thank you for showing us the deck list.
Yeah.
Before we go, let me ask you the standard question. Do you have any shout-outs?
Shout out to everyone at Hermit Style who's been great. Shout out to my Gator Gang buddies over in Michigan that got me into playing Dragon Ball. They're awesome. They're playing One Piece now. But I'm gonna get a One Piece deck just to play with them, and they still support me playing Dragon Ball, and that's what's important.
Nice. Well, thank you for joining us, guys. This has been Symbiode's third place Syn Xeno deck. Now Ben, they give it a Z leader. And in the board wipe to go with it.
Oh, that would be amazing.
We don't need anything more, just that. So, yeah, this has been Damien from the Lookout, and I'll see all of you in the next video.